So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Larson, especially for giving up your time to be with us and share your wealth of knowledge and your areas of specialty. We're so blessed to have you. So everyone, Dr. Rhonda Larson is a holistic naturopathic doctor. She's been practicing in the health field for 20 years. She sought natural medicine after working in the nursing field for over 10 years. And she felt very disappointed with the medical mindset and the treatment of just the symptoms rather than the patient. So the whole person, body, mind, and spirit was not acknowledged, and finding the root of an illness was never addressed. So then she started her journey into holistic wellness as a certified herbalist and consultant from Tree of Light Institute in 2000, and then became a naturopathic doctor in 2004 from the Clayton College of Natural Health. After graduating from Clayton College with her naturopathic degree, she became very interested in studying alternative therapies for cancer patients and individuals suffering from chronic diseases. She traveled then to San Diego, California, and Tijuana, Mexico. Yeah, shout out to all the clinics people in Mexico. In 2004 to become certified in the practitioner's program for the Gerson therapy, which was created by Dr. Max Gerson. Dr. Larson also attended another training series in 2006 created by Dr. William Donald Kelly, who was another pioneer in alternative cancer therapies, as many of you know, with high doses of pancreatic enzymes and an individualized diet and detox, all that good stuff. Then in 2019, Dr. Larson furthered her education by becoming a certified functional medicine practitioner from the Functional Medicine University and an advanced pranic healing practitioner from Golden Light Pranic Healing Center. Pranic healing is a comprehensive and treatment-specific form of energy medicine. And so I'm just gonna finish this strong. So Dr. Larson has attended many holistic lectures and trainings over the last 20 years and has become educated and certified in several modalities of specific therapies, including muscle testing, emotional release, and stress management techniques. She has and currently specializes in functional medicine lab testing, gastrointestinal health and rebuilding, healing food sensitivities, nutritional counseling, female reproductive health and hormone balance, detox management, nutrition for chronic disease and autoimmune processes, harmonizing our emotional health and well-being, stress management techniques, and energy balance and healing. Acknowledging all the person physically, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically is her special way of treating a complete system of healing for each individual and their unique health issues. Her mission is to bring about a positive impact and healing into the lives of others by restoring physical health, spiritual wholeness, and emotional well-being. Her passion is to empower her clients with hope that healing and vitality is possible, and to encourage them that their ashes of pain and illness can lead to hope, resilience, and beauty. She is a caring and dedicated naturopath and desires to continue in her journey of educating, empowering, and assisting individuals in the healing, restoration, and maintenance of their physical and emotional health and harmonic balance. She's married to David, and together they have a blended family of 6 children. She loves spending time with her loved ones, making herbal medicinals, taking walks in nature, painting, reading, playing the piano, traveling, creating new recipes in the kitchen, and inspiring others to make life beautiful. That's so wonderful. That your journey is so amazing. And I first met Dr. Larson over email, and I don't remember how you said you found me, but I know you were looking for information about Colles toxins and saw that I had taken it as a treatment of mine. And then it was so cool to find out that you had been to Mexico and been trained there and in the Gerson therapy, which was a therapy of mine also. And I just was so blessed to meet such a sweet, kind, caring, compassionate doctor and find out that you exist in the world and that people can find you and work with you now. So I'm referring people to you already, and I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you. And thank you so much again for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to share you with the world. So yeah, and you also have a history of melanoma, and would you share that or well, I mean, can you take us back and talk about both your experience with cancer yourself and holistic medicine in general?
Yes, yes. So when I was 35, so when I was 35, actually, I was already a naturopath and I was doing most of what I'm doing today, but the emotional part was not brought into my healing at that point yet. So when I was 35, I had a mole on my right foot for actually a couple of years. And I finally went to have it looked at and I had it removed and came back melanoma. So, that initial shock, that's a scary word to hear, obviously. And I think I struggled at the time because I thought, oh my word, I'm a naturopath. This should not have happened. I've been eating healthy. I'm detoxifying. I was doing coffee enemas, because
Wow.
I'm a Gerson practitioner, so I was doing everything I thought I should. But I felt, the emotional spiritual part of my healing had not been brought into my I guess into my path yet. I knew that that was a part of healing, and I had been taught that somewhat in naturopathic, training, but it was never really gone into deeply how to do that or why it was so important. But you always hear that the spirit and the soul and the heart of somebody is so important for healing. And a lot of time, most cancers, I would say all cancer and all, I would say most things that we deal with in life, they have emotional, spiritual roots and things that we suppress and things that we swallow, things that we don't deal with at the time. We sweep it under the carpet. We're good with that. And unfortunately, they can come back and they can show up as a physical diagnosis. So at that time of my life, I was going through a divorce, and it was a hard time, very hard time of my life. And there were many factors that went into that. Thankfully, it was an early caught melanoma. So, but I had put myself on, for about 18 months, even after that diagnosis, I did what I teach people to do. I started taking the pancreatic enzymes faithfully. I stepped up my game and I started bringing in more of the emotional, spiritual component into my own healing. And from there, started learning more in detail how to do that with my patients, with my clients, how on their healing journey. So I look at cancer now as it's something, it's trying to wake us up. There's something in our life that maybe we're missing a part of it. We're missing a component, and it's waking us up to say, what in my life needs to be changed or needs to be healed so I can live my purpose. And your physical terrain is part of that, cleaning up your body, but also, our heart and our spirit and our soul is a big, major part of that as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. So what was that change like for you? What did it look like, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, the emotional, spiritual part, or
Yeah.
well, I was brought up. I'm a preacher's daughter, so I was brought up in the church, and I have a strong relationship with the Lord. So thank goodness I had that. That's, to me, that's the most important part of my healing, and whatever faith somebody has, but the faith for me, that was the most important part of my healing. But I learned different techniques. For me, I think it was just realizing some things maybe that I didn't deal with as a child, different traumas, maybe that, I had a wonderful home, I had wonderful parents and a wonderful family, but there were things, there's always things in everybody's life, no matter how wonderful your family is,
Mhm.
that that triggered certain things, for my life. And I was a very sensitive child. So I think probably things hurt me a little bit more deeply than maybe another person that might have not been so sensitive, empathic. So just, I think going back to those times and healing from some of those wounds. And you know what? I'm still on that journey. I'm still, things will come up, I mean, you think you're done with with that healing part, but things come up sometimes and you're like, okay, today I need to work on this. I think it's like unraveling, or you always hear of unpeeling an onion. You peel one layer off and another layer shows up. So healing each layer and till you get to the real, um, till you get to the person who God made you to be. And so for me personally, for the emotional part, um, I do emotion code with people. I did that for myself. I still do that for myself. Emotion code is releasing emotions through muscle testing, certain emotions, with whatever you're dealing with at the time. I'm very, very, I try to make it as, uh, whatever that person's dealing with, will do emotion code, if they're dealing with a specific trauma or crisis or even pain in their body. I also do Theta Healing, which is actually helping, it's changing people's beliefs that or programs that they've had that they brought up believing that are not true. They're, things that developed during a trauma, and they still might be carrying that program or that belief today, and it's preventing them from moving forward in their life. It's preventing them from being who God made them to be. So releasing those programs and bringing in God's truth for their life. So I have been doing a lot of those different release techniques, and through, with what I do for other therapies. And yeah, just learning other different release techniques, giving people different techniques to do at home in between sessions. I find one of the most important things, and for me too personally, is forgiveness. That's, um, forgiveness and resentment holds such a unforgiveness and resentment holds such a strong charge in the body. So being able to go back to a time in your life that maybe was hard for you, where you went through a trauma or a crisis, or sometime, when you were hurting, going back to that. And I give people different exercises and letting go tools to do that, but going back to those times and doing a forgiveness process with those people and yourself. We can have a really hard time forgiving ourselves for things too. So forgiveness is a big tool, I feel, in our healing as well.
Amen. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so what are some results that you've seen in people going through these processes?
Yeah. Amazing results. When somebody starts to understand more about their specific healing, and they're not just, it's not, they're not a diagnosis. They're a person with a story, that led them to maybe have a diagnosis, but they're not that diagnosis. They're a beautiful person with a story that we need to find out the puzzle pieces and make that, understand their story. And once they start understanding that, the pieces start to fall into place, and they receive healing just by being aware of some of the links and some of the connections that have gone, along with maybe their illness, or and then finally getting well. So just more peace and more resilience, more vitality, freedom. Freedom is a big one. You know, when we're carrying all this weight around, and I mean baggage that we carry, emotional baggage, spiritual baggage that we're carrying around, that's weighing us down. So by allowing that to be released and letting it go, we can become much freer and be who we're meant to be.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you find that people, do they start to work with like a psychotherapist after they start working with you to kind of support their emotional and spiritual well-being as they're going through this healing process?
Yeah, some people do. If they, if they feel like they need more support, then, that's something that they are definitely welcome to do. The tools that I give them to take home and do in between our visits, a lot of times they feel that those exercises are very powerful and they can facilitate it themselves if given, so, but yeah, if there's people that feel like they need more than that, then, they are welcome to seek out, extra help outside of what we're doing. So it depends on the situation. I mean, I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just there to, learn their story and to help them through their healing journey.
Yeah, you're like a Sherpa because you were there and now you're helping them up the mountain too.
Yes.
Cool. So, what proportion do you or how much do you focus on the mental, emotional, spiritual versus the physical, like, the diet and detox and supplements and things like that?
Yeah. And I have to say, not everybody that comes to see me is ready to do the emotional spiritual component, and that's okay. I meet them where they're at,
Right.
because that's hard work. It can be kind of hard, deep work. So, but yes, we usually always start with the physical component, and at each visit we'll maybe, I'll mention something that we could work on emotionally, and if I feel if they're ready, and if I, then we'll work on that more the next time. But the physical component is definitely, and I hate to say, I don't want to say which one is more important because they're both so important, they're so intertwined.
Right.
But most people that hear of me know that I do emotional work with it. So they're usually knowing that they're going to be recommended to do that part of the work because that's really important in healing. But we always start with diet. Diet is always very important. Detoxification, the enzymes are a part of that. There's, I have a program that we do, it's all, and it's tailored to each person. And usually they get started on that portion, and then I will bring in the emotional, spiritual, appointment where we can do maybe just one appointment, just doing that. And giving them exercises to take home, to do in between. And Bailey, I feel like too, the more that we, clean up our diet and clean up our body physically, we do start to want more of that cleaning up our emotions, because it's our energy charge starts to change. So we start to become more aware, maybe there's some spider webs in my body that need to be cleaned out, so we start to become more aware once we start cleaning our terrain, whether that's physical, even if we're doing just physical work, the diet and the detoxification and supplements. there's always going to be some kind of emotional spiritual shift just by doing that, and I feel like sometimes that's where we need to start with somebody, just to get them ready to do the emotional spiritual part, of healing. So
Mm. Okay.
yeah, hope
Yeah,
that answers.
yes, it does. So to clarify, like the physical things that you recommend, just because you're a Gerson practitioner doesn't mean that that's exactly what you
Right.
recommend. Can you describe the diet that you recommend for most people, or the structure that you start with?
Yes. So I will typically start with a anti-inflammatory diet, and typically it's usually more vegetarian. Some people do need. It depends on. I will have some of my patients do that, like the metabolic typing that Dr. Kelly did. So to see if they are a protein type, if they're a carbohydrate type, if they're a mixed type, to see if they need more protein in their diet. If they need more protein, then those individuals might need to have some animal protein. If they're a carbohydrate type, then they do better on a vegetarian diet. And the mixed type can usually have a little bit of both, some protein and some carbohydrates. So that's where it's a little bit tailored to each individual. But to start out, I will put them on a typical anti-inflammatory diet, lots of produce. They can do steamed, they can do raw, healthy fats. So it's different than it is Gerson minded, but with Gerson, they're not doing any fat, they're just doing flaxseed oil. So I have added some things into that just because, and like I said, it's different for everybody. Some people need more of a Gerson type diet, but some people need a little bit more of a broader range, more fat, and some people need more salt. Gerson, you're not allowed to have any salt. So some people need some extra sodium. So you look at their laboratory values, is their sodium low? Is their potassium low? So you tailor it to see, what their blood work is saying, and how they're feeling. If they're feeling tired and fatigued, then we know we need to add something. And then with that, they're doing coffee enemas. And, I usually encourage my patients to get a sauna because sweating is so important through the process too. Just, and getting their lymph moving, the pancreatic enzymes, it's all tailored in with that. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. I love that approach. Oh yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. And
Juicing.
juicing, big part too. So
Yeah.
fresh juice.
How much juice and what kind?
Most of the time I will stick with the Gerson juices, the green juice, the carrot juice, but I have added some fresh ginger to their juices, which is great for circulation, some fresh turmeric. And I have added some different vegetables in with some of the Gerson juices, but a lot of times I will recommend that they drink up to 2 quarts a day.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, because if they're doing enemas and if they're doing a sauna, then they're losing they're detoxing, but which is good, but they're also losing electrolytes through that. And the purpose is to nourish them because, I learned in Gerson, I'm sure you did too, that cancer is, nutritional and it's nutritional deficiencies and toxicity. So you need to work with the toxicity and also, make that nutritional deficient individual give them nutrient rich foods and juices to help meet that deficiency. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
For the metabolic typing, do you do like a questionnaire for that, or do you do any other kind of tests to figure out what's best for each person?
I'll do a questionnaire for them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
That must have well, obviously taken training from the training that you did, because it's not really straightforward, is it?
It's not very straightforward. It can be a little bit confusing depending on which questionnaire you use. But yeah, the questionnaire that I use it will tell you what somebody is. It takes about a half an hour to fill out. But then you'll know their diet, their, you know, their metabolic typing, and then you can tailor a diet for them.
Have you ever found the diet to change?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the diet will change. In fact, if somebody has been on their specific metabolic diet for a couple of months, they have been feeling good, and then things start to change. They might start feeling more tired. They might have blood sugar lows or highs. Then we'll do the test again. So a lot of times I will have them repeat the test again, or I'm sorry, the questionnaire in 3 months anyway, whether, whether or not they're feeling good or not feeling so good, just to see, because a lot of times they will change. So they usually do not stick with the diet, the specific metabolic typing the whole time. A lot of times they'll change into a different, as they're healing. It's basically, if you think of your metabolic type, sometimes what your type is now, it might be what you were born with, but it might not be. So you're looking at that individual, what type they are now, and as they start to heal, their type a lot of times will change, and a lot of times it'll go back to their birth metabolic type. So you might be a carbohydrate type now, but maybe you were born a protein type. So it changes as you heal.
That's cool.
It can change as you heal, yeah.
That's great. And I had not been aware that there was a Kelly training program.
Well, I had taken my training from Pamela McDougall. She's in Idaho. She is one of Dr. Kelly's students.
Okay.
So Dr. Kelly is not living anymore,
right.
But she was one of his students, and she was, yeah. So she's an excellent. She taught me. Back in 2006, I went to one of her trainings.
That's cool. Do you know if she still does that?
I'm not sure if she does or not. I can, I can let you have one of their numbers, after we're done talking, because I actually order my Panammune from her, well, from one of the companies that she recommends. So
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. And do you do any other like micronutrient testing to see where people are at with that, and like heavy metals, stool testing, hormone testing?
Yes, I will do heavy metal test, and a lot of times we'll do an organic acids test, an O test, to see what nutrients they might be deficient in, and what we need to add more into the diet, and where their toxicities may lay. So, yeah.
Very cool. And how does the functional medicine aspect come into your work? Because I know there are a lot of functional medicine doctors out there who recommend a more paleo diet, and certain supplements for healing the gut. And I used to work for a functional medicine doctor, and I thought it was very cool, but it also, well, at least in her practice, it contradicted at times some things that I believed, but aren't necessarily contrary to everyone. So I'm curious where it plays a role in your practice.
Yeah, you mean about the paleo diet? If it's
or functional medicine in general.
Yeah.
And the paleo diet.
So functional medicine, I mean, I will use different testing techniques for functional medicine, like the OAT test, the organic acid, or the heavy metal testing. Certain laboratory values I always look at. But I mean, as for the paleo diet, some people do really well on it. Some people do not. So it's it's not the diet for everybody. It's not a one size fits all kind of, it's I will say, if you have a person come in that is eating a lot of junk food, like soda and fast food, that person's going to do better on paleo than their food diet, no matter what their metabolic typing is, so
yeah.
so it's how you look at it. But paleo diet, can be a great place for people to start, but a lot of, it's not the diet for everybody. And the functional medicine testing, when somebody comes in that's dealing with cancer, their program's going to be different depending on their testing results than somebody that is not dealing with cancer. So their program will be different. So it's tailored to that individual. So, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. It does. Yeah. And you work remotely, correct?
I do. I have an office, and I do house calls out in Lancaster, in our area. But I also do remote consultations. Yes.
Wonderful. And you have your website is beautiful, healingjourney.com, for people to find you.
Yeah.
And book an appointment with you.
Yes, they can email me. So if they can email me at beautifulhealingjourney@gmail.com, and they can just reach out to me, send me an email, and I will, get back to them. A lot of times I'll send them paperwork to start filling out. And then once I get their paperwork back, then we'll schedule an appointment.
Okay, wonderful. So before we do Q&A, is there anything else that you'd like to share with people to encourage them on their cancer healing journey? Or anything that you're really passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked a little bit about this the last time we talked, Bailey, is about, I encourage everybody to, do something creative, because that's a big part of our healing too. And, some people don't know, they don't know what that might be for them. So, just do, whether it's painting, whether it's cooking, whether it's woodworking, there's so many. God made us all so creative because he's the creator and he's the most beautiful artist. So, he would not put a creative spark in any of his children, so I always feel like that's such a beautiful part of our healing journey, is finding what we could be passionate about and what kind of gifts that we have inside of us, and it brings us life, because if we feel passionate about life, even just having goals a year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, that greatly increases our lifespan, because it tells your body that she wants to live, or he wants to live, and it wakes everything up, and your body starts to, your body listens to what you say and what you're thinking and feeling. So one book that I do have here for people if they want to, it's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And this is a wonderful book that I did many years ago. But it's a book that she teaches you how to become more creative. And it's basically when you first wake up in the morning, you write pages. Because in the morning, your mind is the freshest, after dreaming and after sleeping. So you basically write several pages of whatever, can be silly nonsense, but it's basically getting out all the busyness out of your mind so your creativity starts to come alive more. So it's a wonderful book for helping to unblock people and helping them to become more creative. So I find that that's really a beautiful part of a healing journey too, just finding what that is. And it really complements our healing. I'll put it that way. So
that's so cool. I love that. And I think I heard about her from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in my health coaching course.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And it's like a way to, I know we can get like so busy in our mind, and then it's hard to like you're saying, be creative and hear God's creative voice inside of us, like, bringing up what what he wants us to do, or what we can, enjoy co-creating with him,
Right.
to share good things in the world. So
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful way of bringing out that creativity and unleashing it, and having exciting ideas for
It
things to
it
do
is.
in life.
It is. Even if you don't buy the book, you don't have to get the book, but you could even just take a walk in nature.
Mhm.
Taking a walk in nature is very inspiring, and just taking a walk in general
Mhm.
actually helps our creativity. We get ideas, so it helps us to become more alive. So there's so many things that we can do to inspire that creativity within us. Not you don't you know There's many other things other than the book, but that's one thing that people can do if they really need some inspiration.
Mm. Yeah, that's so cool. It's reminds me also of Dr. Kelly Turner's work with radical remission, and the things that people had in common who achieved, these radical remissions, and beating the odds. And strong reasons for living was one of them. And if that having those creative ideas that are exciting, or can increase your reasons for living, and increasing positive emotions, there's one there too.
Yeah,
That happens when we get excited about the future, and doing
right,
something that's fun.
definitely.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Larson. So if anyone has, I know at least one of you has a question for Dr. Larson, please feel free to unmute yourself, or if you're watching from the Facebook group, post your question in the comments below.
Hi.
Hi, Cheryl. Would you like to ask your question?
Oh, yeah, I had a question, but it may not relate. I was just curious on any way to like increase my TSH with like buggleweed and lemon balm, were the two main ones, and how much I could take.
Well, is your TSH low or high?
It's very low. I was just recently diagnosed with hyperthyroid
Okay.
Graves.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I mean, since I don't feel comfortable telling you how much it's just because I
right.
don't know your specific case.
Yeah.
But I would, I always, something I always ask people, is, has there been a trigger lately or a trauma? If you've just been diagnosed with an autoimmune issue, um, has there been a trauma? That's something that I always, and yeah, supplements are definitely important. And, sometimes certain medications can help to with that as well. But um, I go to a person's story and see what could be causing that.
Okay.
Are you working with somebody to help increase that? Or
I am. I just started working with someone, so
oh,
hopefully things start to get better.
yeah.
Just trying to avoid the medication.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I would definitely encourage that too. That's and food sensitivities is, that sometimes that can be a part of. And something with the thyroid I always think of too, Cheryl, is your voice. Is there something you're having a hard time voicing your truth, or um, so I always think of that with our thyroid. That's our truth center, and our creativity center. So singing and talking, and being able to voice yourself, those are all really important when we have a thyroid issue. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And I'm a breast cancer survivor too, so
Okay.
that was first.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And breast cancer is always about the nest. Um, our loved ones, our partner, could be a parent, could be a child, but it's usually a disruption in our nest area. So, and there's more depth to that, but that's something that can, a lot of times I'll see people that have been just diagnosed with a breast cancer, especially depending on what type of breast cancer it is, but that's, and what side it's on. That's, there's something within that group of people that
Everything seems to be left-sided with me for some reason.
okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. The left side is usually female, female related. So a daughter, a mother, a sister, a girlfriend, so just, is there any kind of unresolved trauma or any unresolved things that you need to resolve with anybody that's close to you?
There may be, yeah, something I could think about.
yeah, something you can just, you can think about. But those are the things that I usually, that we talk about. And if something is not resolved in our body, then our body's going to keep talking to us. So now you're dealing with Graves' disease. So it's trying to wake you up. It's trying to say, I'm here. I just need, it wants you, our bodies are speaking to us all the time. So it doesn't know, it's not meant to hurt us. It's not meaning to hurt us. It's not meaning to, it's just trying to wake us up to what we need to do to heal. So
I believe that. Yep. I do.
Yes. So it was nice to talk to you, and I wish you the best. And I will.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you're very welcome, Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another comment and question on Facebook. They said, "Hi, I just had a tumor removed for breast cancer. I don't know what to do. The chemo is there. Sorry, I don't want to do the chemo. Is there an alternate treatment I can follow? Thank you." Or what alternate treatments?
Yeah. Again, I would, I guess I would need to know a little bit more, but I mean, there's certainly what I do with people, mostly the Kelly program, we do some of the Gerson, and even, the pancreatic enzymes, all of those things can help. If they want a place to go to, that's, you could do the Hope for Cancer with, Dr. Tony Jimenez, or even the Gerson Clinic. So there's many things that you can do holistically. So yeah, there's many different routes that you can go. And I always tell people too, it's, once you've been diagnosed, it's not like the cancer just appeared. You've been dealing with it a lot of times for a couple of years before it is big enough to be diagnosed. So it's, you have time to make a decision that feels good to you. It's not a lot of times, most of the time, it's not a life or death situation that you have to make a decision immediately. You have time to make a decision that feels good to you, that feels right. And if that is doing conventional, then that's, whatever gives you peace. But I always encourage people to just take some time to breathe and figure it out what's best for you and that gives you peace. And don't feel pressured into doing something you don't feel is great for you. But there's many different clinics that are very, very good for, for helping individuals with cancer, as you definitely know. But I do, from what I do, I kind of mix the two together, the Kelly and the Gerson program. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. They said they're in the UK,
Okay. Okay.
but
Yeah.
you can work remotely with them.
Yes, I can work remotely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you for that question. And I did want to share, if anyone wanted to sign up for your newsletters, they can go to your website, My Beautiful Healing, or not My Beautiful, beautifulhealingjourney.com. And on all the pages, I believe there's a box at the bottom to put in your email to follow.
Correct. Yes, they can sign up for that.
Great. And then you also have an Etsy shop, right?
I do. Yes. I have a garden, and I have a lot of medicinal herbs. So I make a lot of medicinal salves and different things for healing. So I have a shop where people can go on to get different, salves or different things for healing. So
that's wonderful, and a great gift idea for the holidays if anyone is looking for something like that.
It's one of my creative outlets.
There you go. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I love to do many things creatively, but that's one thing that I really love. It's one of my fun things. So
that's cool. And then it looks like another one of your fun things is recipes for cooking also, right?
Yes, I love recipes. I love making new recipes, trying new things, making food interesting,
Which can be a struggle with the Gerson therapy at times.
It can be a struggle, but I find that if you can make your food, even if it is the Gerson therapy, if you can make it as attractive as you can, it makes it much more palatable and makes you feel like eating it more. So there's many ways we can dress up our food, but yeah, definitely love to be in the kitchen too.
That's fun.
And with this, well, with this diet, you are in the kitchen, so
right.
So
it was like either I was in the kitchen or in the bathroom.
Yes, both of them, in the kitchen or the bathroom. You become very acquainted with those two rooms in your house.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yes. So
yeah, I just posted the link for the Etsy shop because someone was asking for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then but going back to the recipes, are they according to your metabolic type, or is it like friendly to different metabolic types? What variety can we see in there?
Yeah, it's going to be a bunch of different ones. Yeah, I mean it depends, what it is, but most of the people that I see, my patients, they can usually have most of the recipes on my website. I believe they're all gluten-free, they're dairy-free. Some of them, they're very food allergen friendly. So there might be, if somebody is a carbohydrate type, maybe, they're not going to have as many of the meat, as many of the protein meals on there, but most of the protein meals that I have are very easy to digest. Like there's a Thai recipe on there that there's different recipes on it that have different that have some meat in them, but most of them you still could eat as a carbohydrate type because it's not pork or beef, it's lighter meats like chicken or fish. So so it could be pretty friendly, most of them, to mostly everybody.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on cottage cheese and or the Budwig diet.
I really value that. I believe it's very useful. You know, the way the fat is with the flaxseed oil and the cottage cheese, the way the fats and the protein come together. I feel that can be very valuable for a lot of people to do. Again, it might not be for everybody, but for many of the people that I see, it has agreed very well with them. Yeah. Yeah. And even Gerson, as you remember, you know, you can do the flaxseed oil and you can have a little bit of the cottage cheese. It's, you know, they recommend the more of the fat, the lower fat, but still it's one thing that they okayed.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wonderful. All right, last question, unless anybody else wants to speak up, or forever hold your peace. Yeah, at least until next time, if we're blessed with the next time, which I hope we are. So we have praying people who watch these videos. How can we be praying for you, Dr. Larson?
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I think, you know I shared this with you last time we talked, that it's been on my heart to start a support group in my area. So for people that are dealing with cancer. So that's something that I really have on my heart. So, and I've been praying about it. And so yeah, that's definitely a prayer concern, not a concern, but just lifting that up in prayer. So, and because that's something that I really, I feel like God's laid that on my heart. So, because it's really needed in my area, but it's needed, I mean, it's needed everywhere, but, and just to really, to let people know that, you know, you're not alone, to have a support system, and to go over some of these techniques in that group that I'm talking about today. So,
That's
wonderful.
Yeah,
that's a way you could pray. Thank you so much for asking.
You're very welcome. I always want our speakers to be blessed, and so yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for watching and joining us and asking your questions. This wouldn't happen without you. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone, to everyone who celebrates, and we hope to see you soon.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you too. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.